And you are looking live at Sold Out Giants Stadium, where today the 15-0 New York Giants will be taking on the 0-15 Washington Commanders. Why the Washington Commanders 0-15? Because they suck. And welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all going to spend a little bit of time with me? Thank you so much. Or anybody going to watch the replay of this? Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys freaking rock. Thank you so much. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. The Giants did something they didn't want to do, kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit, but they were in kind of like cap hell. And thanks, Dave. Thank you, Dave Gettleman. You're the best. Thanks, dude. You rock, Dave. So they had to do something they didn't want to do. Had to kick the can down the road a little bit with Leo the Lion here. Now, I don't know if they're going to do anything else. I mean, there are other options that they have as far as, kicking the can down the road. Now, I mean, they're not like out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. They're not like, basking in the sun or the glory of all this excessive salary cap money that they have. No, I mean, right now, according to what I'm going to do here is Spot Track, all right? There's Over the Cap, Spot Track. There's all of them, a bunch of them. I always usually try to do Spot Track. The reason why I can do Spot Track is I can read it pretty good, and I can kind of understand it. Over the Track, the way they got it lined up, and the numbers sometimes are like different colors and stuff, and sometimes it's really hard for me to just read anything. So I always try to do Spot Track, but they're pretty much all the same. But right now, after they restructured Leonard Williams' contract, okay, his cap hit this year is only $15.38 million. Okay. The Giants have $5.2 million in salary cap money right now. That's all they got after they restructured his contract. That ain't much money, especially going into the season, a little over $5 million, which is kind of one of the reasons why I was, they got Darius Slayton. I mean, I was kind of just thinking that they're going to holding on him maybe for trade purposes, maybe get a trade him. Get maybe a 7th round pick for him, but get rid of the salary cap, which would give the Giants an additional almost $2.5 million. So that would put the Giants a little over $7.5 million. Still, I don't think it's where they want to be going into the season, but 7.5 is better than 5.2, right? Now the Giants could also try to do something with Kenny Galladay's salary, restructure that, kick the can down the road a little bit. There's only 2 guys that they got, okay, who are making double digits as far as money. And it's Kenny Galladay and Leonard Williams, right? Adoree Jackson is making 9.2. Andrew Thomas is at 8.8. Daniel Jones is at 8.3. Saquon, 7.2. Sterling Shepard, 6.3. So, I mean, they don't have a lot of guys, making big time bucks. It's just that, they do have some dead cap money, right? Which they're carrying. Let's see. It looks like dead cap money. They have $42 million worth of dead cap money that they're carrying. $42 million. Now, just couple that up with us. So we got 42 million, 42.4, right? And then take the 5.2 that they have, okay? That would be without that. And I'm asking a lot. I know. I'm sure every team has got dead cap money, but just take the dead cap money and the money that they have. They'd have like $47.5 million salary cap money, right? I mean, that's one of the problems you have, when you keep bringing in different GMs and different coaches and all that, they want to come in, they want to make their own team. And I get it. You're going to try to, get paid to lead a team. You want to, have your own guys. You don't want guys in there to, thrust upon your guys that come with the team. Some of the guys you might want, some of the guys you don't want. So, that's what I wind up getting rid of so many guys. And then this is where you wind up having so much dead cap money. So, but the Giants next year, they'll have some money. So that's where they were able to afford to maybe give Leonard Williams some extra money next year. And then in 2 years, I'm going to go, there's an article here going to go over how much he's getting paid in 2 years when his contract is up. It's going to be a void year. So basically, he's going to get paid money and he won't be on the team. But they got here. This one's from the New York Post. There was a bunch of them. There's like 5 articles from different news agencies that I saw. So I just picked this one here with the New York Post. But it says Giants cut into their future budget just to get out of salary cap hell this season. They almost really had to. They had like almost no choice in the matter. They had to do something. Thanks to Dave Gettleman. But despite General Manager Joe Schoen saying he wanted to do everything possible to avoid the situation, the Giants were left with no choice Tuesday but to restructure defensive lineman Leonard Williams' contract in order to get under the salary cap before Wednesday's deadline. So they had until tomorrow to get under the salary cap, the deadline. So, they were pushing it. Right? They were pushing it. The Giants converted nearly $18 million of Williams' $19 million salary for this season into a signing bonus and added a void year to his contract, which allows the cap charges to be evenly distributed over 3 seasons. So Williams' new cap hits are $15.3 million this season, all right, instead of 27.3. So basically, $12 million. Okay, went from 27 down to 15. So they that whatever they evenly distribute that those savings over the next couple of years. Now, next year's salary cap hit is $32.2 million. Okay, instead of 26.3. Okay, so basically, they saved themselves $12 million. They went from 27 down to 15. So they saved 12. So what they did with that $12 million is they're adding basically an additional 6 on next year's. Okay. And then the void year, okay, which is 2024, is $6 million. Okay. So basically the void year, meaning that, you can have him on the books, even though he's not on the team, and you're paying him. Right, so the Giants will be paying him $6 million. Okay. Now the other thing is that I tell you what, I love Leonard Williams, love his attitude. The dude can play on my team anytime. You got to realize you're not going to get. We had the 11 sacks a couple of seasons ago, but the dude plays hurt. The dude's always playing. He's always on the field. He had an injury to his arm last year. Didn't keep him off the field, right? Always plays. Love the man's attitude. I said, certain guys can be on my team anytime. Sterling Shepard's one of them. Julian Love, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence. There's a bunch of guys who can be on my team all the time. But, is he getting paid a bit much? Yeah. Quite possibly. But he's a very good, rock solid defensive lineman. Okay. He does a very, very good job week in and week out. Doesn't get the gaudy numbers, but he does a very, very good job. Now, is he getting overpaid? Yeah, I think he's getting overpaid, but I kind of think almost we were kind of like forced into it with Dave Gettleman trading some draft picks away for him. And then we had to sign him and all. Now, the thing is, be interesting to see, what do the Giants do? Because the Giants could let him go next year. I believe it talks about this in this article here. The Giants could let him go next year and have a lot of dead cap money, but they'd also save themselves some money too. So it'll be interesting to see. Interesting to see what Leonard Williams' future is with the New York Giants here going forward. Okay. Let's see. All right. Joe Shane said, we'll get to where we need to get when we can get through the season, or where we can get through the season, Shane said last week. But the situation's the situation. It's the hand we were dealt, and we're going to do the best we can with what we have. With the restructure of arguably their best defensive player, the Giants went from $5.2 million over the cap, according to NFL Player Association records, okay, to about $6.72 million under the cap. Cornerback Adoree Jackson was the other logical candidate for a restructure. So, I mean, they only had so many options, right? Williams will receive the same amount of cash over the life of the contract, right? He'll just get it sooner than expected. So, I mean, that's what they turn the signing bonus into. That's like, boom, I believe that's all just cash. Here you go. You got yourself a signing bonus. Here's your cash. Guys don't usually turn that down, right? So it doesn't really change anything, Williams told the Post. If anything, it's better because I'm happy helping the team out with the cap space. So he's helping the team out with the cap space, plus they're giving him more money up front. Okay? I'm getting the same amount up front instead of waiting for it. So, right? So he's helping the team out, and he's certainly not getting screwed over by any stretch of imagination with the money. So it's a win-win. Win-win, right? In most cases, a restructure like this one makes it more difficult to cut the player in the future because it raises dead cap charges, and thus the player becomes more secure. But the Giants cut cornerback James Bradberry in May after twice restructuring his deal last season. Yep. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they wind up doing with Leonard Williams. Is he in their future? What do they want to do? I mean, because, he's got his contract here. Now, is there something maybe the Giants might want to re-sign him again and maybe start bringing his salary down maybe toward the $20 million mark or somewhere around there? Or are they just going to wind up letting him go? But, all right, here we have it here. The Giants are flush with cap space in 2023. I'm going to go over that in a minute here, okay? About $55.5 million next season. But there's, which they are, okay? But I'm going to go over some, it's not all roses and sunshines with the $55 million, okay? So they have about $55.5 million, which is the second highest amount in the NFL. So that's good, according to Over the Cap. Okay, I got Spot Track, but according to Over the Cap. But that doesn't mean Williams is completely safe from cuts next season because the Giants could get out of his bloated $32.2 million charge next season, which is the fourth highest among non-quarterbacks, by taking a $20.2 million dead cap hit and save $12 million. So if they will let him go next year, they got $20 million, okay, dead cap money. But according to Over the Cap, okay, they have 55.6 for next season. They let Leonard Williams go, they're going to save themselves $12 million. So then if they were to let Leonard Williams go, maybe try to draft a defensive stud, right? Maybe in his second round. I think they really got to start looking at a cornerback. Maybe in a cornerback high in the draft, first, second round, or maybe get one on the free agent mark. But, I mean, maybe they could draft like how we got Dalvin Tomlinson in the second round, right? Draft a stud defensive lineman in the second round to replace Leonard Williams, right? But if they were to let Leonard Williams go, they would go from $55 million to $67 million, okay, in salary cap space for next season, all right? And so we got here, Williams' situation can be easily traced back to a controversial trade with the Jets during October 2019, which is obviously spot on. I mean, basically pretty much, thank you, Dave Gettleman. In the middle of the lost season, the Giants lost all future negotiation leverage with Williams by trading 2 draft picks for him just months before he was scheduled to hit free agency. They were focused to use the franchise tag on him off of an underwhelming season in which he produced half a sack, which in turn set up paying top dollar, 3 years, $63 million, and intense negotiations to keep him from hitting free agency. Because you didn't want him hitting free agency. Because I mean, you let him hit free agency. Well, what the hell did you trade the 2 draft picks for him for? I mean, it was like a no-win situation for the Giants there. They signed him. They got themselves a very good defensive player, without question. Very, very good. Okay. And they signed him, basically it was 3 years, $63 million. So they signed him for $21 million a season. Okay, but the way the salary cap's, going and all and everything, I mean, they're next year, gonna have to restructure his contract and this and everything. Now he's getting paid his salary cap is supposed to be $32 million next year, but they signed him for $21 million a year. Right? I mean, they kind of had to do it. I mean, they traded away 2 draft picks. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe Gettleman just wanted to get him so he wouldn't hit free agency. He didn't want to go into a battle with. But I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what was going on inside Dave Gettleman's head? I don't even know if he knows what was going on inside his head. I tell you. But so we get the salary caps. All right. So for next season, all right. Let's see here. 2023. I got once again, as I said, this is Spot Track. All right. Here that Spot Track's got him at $54.7 million. Okay. Now, next year, I mean, they got quite a few guys here. Next year, Adoree Jackson's cap hit was going to be $19.5 million. They could restructure his, right? I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't want to just let him go. If they let him go, they would save themselves about $9 million. That would be an additional $9 million in cap space that they could get. Then if they let Leonard Williams go, there'd be another $12 million. So there'd be $21 million. All right. Then they could let Kenny Golladay go and save another $7 million. So there'd be $28 million. Of course, then they'd be letting it go their best defensive lineman and their best cornerback probably by far. Okay. Or they could just let Kenny Golladay go. Right. Save themselves $7 million, but I mean, they can maybe possibly restructure Adoree Jackson's contract because let's face it. I mean, they need all the help they can get at cornerback. I mean, if you let Adoree Jackson go, I tell you what, things could be a little brutal here in the passing defense department. I'll tell you what, as far as trying to cover the receivers and stuff. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what the Giants do like next season. I said, like with Adoree Jackson with his contract and with Leonard Williams, they maybe possibly just let him go. But it is what it is. But if they were to let Leonard Williams go, they would save themselves $12 million. So then they would have like $67 million. Okay. But the thing is with that, okay, they're going to need some money to sign their draft class. All right. But they don't have a quarterback. I mean, Saquon's not even there. Okay. So, I mean, if they're going to sign Saquon, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Try to sign Saquon, I would say, if he gets, I guess if they're going to keep him, maybe around double digits, right? Maybe 10 million, maybe. If he starts asking for too much more into the double digits, like 15, 16 million, he'll be on another team next year without question. If he has a good solid year this year, okay, stays healthy, and the Giants offer him, I'm going to say maybe 10, maybe 12 at the absolute most. There's no way they're going to be dishing out 16, 17, 18, whatever to a running back. That's not happening. Okay. But I mean, if they're going to try to sign him, just say 10 million. But I mean, they don't have a quarterback. They have Tyrod Taylor. Okay. Now, I don't know if, can he handle it? Sure, absolutely. But he's injury prone. And I don't know, he's not the quarterback of the future. What the Giants want to do is get a quarterback of the future on the team, on the roster, because, the clock is ticking for Dable and Shane. Now, what happens after this season's over with? If they say Daniel Jones is not our quarterback, okay, now they're going to get themselves a mulligan. They're going to go back. Basically, it's their second year in the organization, Dable and Shane, but they're getting a mulligan. Now, pretty much they're going to go back pretty much to year one. Okay, they're year one again. Why? Because they're getting a new quarterback in. Unless they go out, I'm going to think that they're going to want to try to sign and mold their own quarterback, for the future. Like, I guess maybe draft one. I said the only other thing I think it would be if where they wouldn't have to go back to year one per se is if for some reason, they made a trade for Aaron Rodgers or just throwing it out there, something like that. I mean, kind of like what the Broncos did with Russell Wilson. For the Giants were to get Russell Wilson in here, that now they have an established quarterback. They know what they know what they're getting with the quarterback. There's no surprise with Russell Wilson. The dude's going to be a future Hall of Fame quarterback. All right. I said, if somehow they were able to go out and get themselves a nice, star of a quarterback, then they wouldn't have to go back per se to year one. All right. But if they draft a quarterback who's going to be hopefully the quarterback of the future for the Giants for the next 10, 15 years, they're going to get a mulligan on this season because they have to, groom the quarterback, right? Give him some experience. And then hopefully in year two for the quarterback, which they just drafted, they're going to want to start seeing some good results. Right. So that's the only way, if they were to draft a quarterback, obviously once they're going to have another rookie quarterback on a quarterback, the salary, the rookie salary. All right. So that's a good time to start winning, trying to win games, win a division, win some playoff games, hopefully maybe go to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. Because once you got to start dishing out $40, $50 million to your starting quarterback, that's why Tom Brady is able to, go to Super Bowls, all right, and have pretty much star-studded offensive line. Or offensive lineup. I'm sorry. Just look at the receivers he has. You got Leonard Fournette in the, all right, but he has a good offensive line in front of him. The receivers and tight ends he gets. It's like, I don't want to say it's a who's who, but you can just rattle those guys off left and right. You got Aaron Rodgers. A guy wants $50 million. Well, guess what's going to happen when you want all that money? You can't sign all your players. So your best players are going to go elsewhere. Why? Because you can't sign them. So, that's one of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers gets into the playoffs, and he might be a great quarterback, but he can only take him so far, maybe. Why? Because maybe he doesn't have it, the lineup that Tom Brady does. And why does Tom Brady, have the lineup he has? Because he only takes about half the money. Tom Brady takes $25 million. Aaron Rodgers wants $50. Right? Well, with that extra $25 million, you can go out and get yourself a couple decent ball players. But Aaron Rodgers wants it all for him. So, okay. Well, that's why you're not winning Super Bowls, buddy. And Tom Brady is. But, so, that's going to be interesting to see what winds up going on with the Giants for next year. Now, we got another one here. All right. We got Mike Kafka going to be calling plays after a very strong preseason. Absolutely. I'm going to go over some numbers here. All right. I'm going to show you why I think that, and it's just preseason. I get it. It's, preseason is preseason. Okay. But we're going to go over some numbers here. Right. And some very impressive numbers. Let me tell you. The Giants are not about to mess with the rhythm of Mike Kafka and the NFL's top-ranked offense during the preseason. Yes, I said that, right? Mike Kafka, very smart. Went was at Northwestern, but you get yourself, you go into Andy Reid. Let me tell you, frickin' what you were getting You can't go to Yale or Harvard and get the education he's gotten from Andy Reid. Let me tell you what, Andy Reid, I tell you, that dude is a freaking mad scientist. That's an education and a half, and that absolutely priceless. What's the education he got from Andy Reid? You don't realize how good you got it when you're with Andy. Let me tell you what, the dude, like Hall of Fame coach, absolutely. But I see nothing wrong at all with giving Kafka. Let him do it. Plus, it takes a lot off the plate of Dable. I mean, he's got a lot to worry about. I mean, you're starting to worry about, calling the plays, and then you start, being distracted. You don't worry so much, or I'm not worried, but you don't focus on the whole game. It could be a little distracting. Okay, so Kafka will remain the play caller, a job that he, as a first-time offensive coordinator, auditioned for throughout the spring and summer practices. When the regular season begins Sunday against the Titans, consider it proof that not all preseason results are as entirely meaningless as they seem when cuts are made. I have a lot of confidence in Mike, head coach Brian Dable said. We'll stay with how we did things in the preseason. I see absolutely no reason at all to change it up. After ranking 31st in total offense and passing offense last season, the Giants led the NFL in both categories over 3 preseason games. Now, just preseason, I get it. But you go from 31 to number 1. Now, I get it, too, don't get me wrong. I don't even, there were not many times where the other team's starting defensive players were on the field. I get it. But, I mean, a lot of the points were scored second string against second string, third string against third, so. Right? A lot of the points were scored when Davis Webb was on the field in the fourth quarter. All right. Let's see. Of course, this is an apples to oranges comparison because third-string quarterback Davis Webb carved up third-string defenses during the second halves of those games, which is true. All right. Quarterback Daniel Jones led the starters to 10 points on his 5 total possessions. The Giants averaged an NFL worst 16.3 points per game over the last 2 seasons. Under head coach Joe Judge and offensive play callers Jason Garrett and Freddie Kitchens. Dable landed his job largely because of the way he developed quarterback Josh Allen into an MVP candidate and called plays for a high-scoring attack with the Bills. While it's not a surprise that the 35-year-old Kafka will continue on as play caller, Dable expressed reluctance to officially designate the role at every turn until Monday, after the 2 offensive minds met to discuss it over the weekend. And it is what it is. I mean, it's, if there's some calls to get, plays to get called, and he kind of questions them or whatever, what he said during his press conference is that when the offense is on the field, all right, and Kafka's trying to call one play after that, he's not going to go over to him then because you got a million things going through his mind and all that. After the offense is off the field, he said he'll go over to him, and if there's something that bothers him or questions or something like that, he'll go over and they'll just talk it out. That's all, But he's going to wait for the offense to be off the field, right? But I went over it since the beginning of the century, since 2000. Okay, not only the Giants and it's just preseason, so just take this obviously with a grain of salt and all that. But I didn't go back past 2000. So I didn't go back to 1943 or something, okay. But since 2000, all right. So I guess we got like 23 seasons, all right. Actually, I guess it's 22 because in 2020, there wasn't any preseason. There was no preseason games. So I guess go back the last 22 preseason seasons, all right. 1, 2. The Giants have only had 5 winning preseasons. This was one of them, okay. They were 3-1 in 2005. They were 4-0 in 2006, 4-0 in 2014, and 4-0 in 2019. This year they were 2-1, but they were 2-0, and they lost the last game, of the season, and they still had a winning season. They were 2-1. Okay, so the last 22 preseasons, Giants have only had 5 winning records. This was one of them. Okay. And there was only one in the past since 2000. There was only 1 year. The Giants averaged 25 points per game this year in the preseason. They scored 75 points in 3 games. There was only one season out of the past 22 where they averaged more points per game. All right. That was in 2019. That's with Shermer, the second year Shermer calling the plays. Okay. They averaged 29.75. They averaged almost 30 points per game. 29.75 points per game in preseason. 4 preseason games in 2019. They scored 31 against the Jets, 32 against the Bears, 25 against the Bengals, and 31 against the Patriots. So that is only one time. They averaged 25 points per game this season. And since 2000, there was only one other year they averaged more than 25 points per game. And that was in 2019. 2014, they averaged 24.75 points per game. Okay. So they almost averaged, but it was only 1 year that they averaged more points per game than this year. So, and I guess just preseason, I get it. All right. But there was 1 year in 2011, all right, when they won the Super Bowl, right? They scored 41 points against the Bears. And after that, they still only averaged 18 points per game. So, but I mean, just goes to show you, I mean, how you know, and you look at it with Joe Judge, right? In 2020, there was no preseason games. 2021, the Giants averaged 13.3 points per game. That was the absolute worst. You have to go back to 2001. In 2001, the Giants averaged 12.5 points per game. Joe Judge's second season in the preseason averaged 13.3. So in 2021, we averaged 13.3 points per game in the preseason. This year, we averaged 25. So I don't see it. There's any, I don't really, there's a change at all to take Kafka away from calling plays. I mean, I think it's going to help Dable out, free him up, clear his mind a little bit, so he can focus a little bit more on the game, situations, maybe calling timeouts and stuff like that and all and everything. So I think by letting Kafka, call the plays, I think he's doing the right way. And if he has a problem or a question or anything like that, when the offense is off the field, he just goes, hey, maybe just don't call that play or don't do this or don't, But I think he's doing the right way. It's kind of like what Judge did. Judge had the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams. He had those coaches that they called the plays, right? Free yourself up, okay? Same thing with Dale. I think he's certainly doing the right thing by letting Mike Kafka call the plays. And hopefully Kadarius Toney will be there. Saquon Barkley is going to be there. It looks like Sterling Shepard might even possibly be playing the first week of the season. So we might have Wan'Dale Robinson, Kenny Golladay will be there. So we might have a full slate of guys ready to go. So Giants might put up some points this Sunday. Okay. Until the injuries, hopefully the injury bug doesn't start biting the Giants. But look for the Giants possibly to score some points this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. Guys, today's Tuesday night, 5 days to go. And we'll be kicking off against the Tennessee Titans. Well, guys, that's been over 33 minutes. If anybody who spent any time at all checking this out or anybody at all is going to watch the replay of this, thank you so much. You guys, from the bottom of my heart, you guys absolutely freaking rock. Once again, thank you guys so much. You guys stay safe out there. And as always, go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.